Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabriel, and today we're doing another twin flame energy reading. This reading is meant to be timeless, so no matter when you find it, no matter where you're at on your journey when you find it, there is a message for you here. Today we're going to be pulling from the Divine Abundance Oracle cards by Tasha Silver. And the first card is Grounded. Many of the most evolved beings on Earth are regular folks living with joy, dignity, and courage. Yeah, Um, God is a very grounded energy. God and being spiritual in a mature way is actually a lot of grounding. It's a lot of being present, being in your body, um, being, you know, down to earth, right? We think of spirituality sometimes as this high love and light, woo woo type thing. And while it can have those aspects sometimes, you always want to be grounding your healing. You always want to be grounding into the new level, the new vibration that you've attained. That way, when you ground something, you actually put down roots. And, if you have a plant that isn't very rooted into the ground, it might fall over, it might get pulled up, it might, blow away, right? But if you ground and you really set your roots into what you've achieved, it's harder to rip you from that, right? You're, grounded into that and you keep it. And that's how you keep anything that you've attained spiritually is you ground into it, you integrate it into your being, you integrate into God and into peace. And then from that space, you can go further than if you just continually get high without grounding. Because eventually, you will fall back down to where you actually are spiritually. And where you actually are spiritually is where you've grounded. So don't overlook the power of grounding. And grounding practices can be meditation, can be taking a walk, can be taking a nap after you've done your inner work, can be doing all 4 steps of the mirror exercise, and make sure you bring that part of you home when you've fully healed. All of these things help to ground you and root you back into the now, into the present, and heal you where you are right now. And that's so important. This is not a new concept to be in the now, but to really be in the now, you have to be in your body, present in what is going on around you, and not woo woo off in the clouds. Not wanting to face any challenges or feelings that you're having right now. It's really important to face those and then bring it back to peace. The next card is Courage. Let me be open to courageously taking the steps that are shown. So sometimes you'll be asked to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you'll be asked to do something that is out of your comfort zone. If you're on this spiritual journey, that is all the time. You're asked to do things that are outside of your comfort zone so that you can grow. It's, God is always with you. God has given you the courage and the strength and the support that you need to take those steps. But sometimes we don't always feel it. We feel fear. We feel like we're gonna fail. But even if you fail, if you've taken the step with God, you never actually failed. You'll learn something from that. There's going to be something for you in that experience. Maybe that's an experience of, hey, I never want to do that again. Not never have courage, but never want to do that in the way that I did it. Maybe you learn that you didn't like underwater basket weaving, you didn't like something, right? Or maybe you learn that, hey, like I did this and now I have more confidence to continue doing this thing, or continue having more courage to take even bigger, bolder steps in love. And so it's really important to follow that guidance, even if it pushes you outside of where you're comfortable. Having that courage to take the next step is, you know, very important on this journey, because that's how you grow. The next card is Deepening. Once you're on Earth for enough lifetimes, your old soul will begin to long for non-grasping detachment and surrender. They bring the peace of God. Yeah, you're deepening your relationship with God, with peace, with yourself, with love, when you're taking this journey. And that does require grounding, that does require the courage to take, bigger, bolder steps and, you know, not care about what other people think and things like that. And every time you do that, you deepen into your relationship with God and you deepen into your relationship with yourself. And of course, deepening into those relationships with God and yourself naturally brings about your life purpose, naturally brings about your twin flame union, and you deepen continually into love there as well. If you're afraid to go deeper into your relationship with yourself, or if you're afraid to go into your relationship with God, you're afraid to go into a relationship with your twin flame, and that's why it's not manifesting. That's why you're not able to sustain it for, a couple of texts, or maybe that your twin flame isn't talking to you at all, because there's a deeper level of relationship with yourself that you need to be willing to face, or a deeper relationship with God and with life that you need to be willing to step into, have the courage to step into before you can deepen into that. But it's always worth it, because once you've deepened into your relationship with yourself, you can go infinitely deeper with God, infinitely deeper with yourself. And that means also that you can go infinitely deeper with your twin flame, which is the deep love that your heart is really calling for. So keep going when you encounter these challenges. It's taking you deeper. The next card is grief. Tears are what happens when ice in the heart melts. And I feel like I've seen this card recently. I don't know if I pulled it on this channel or if I pulled it for someone else, but it really is about healing, heart healing right now. And this makes more sense with all of these other cards, like grounding and deepening and having courage. Heart chakra and heart healing can be some of the most sensitive, because your heart is very sensitive. Like, your heart chakra is very sensitive. You are a sensitive child of God, and a lot of times we've experienced a lot of not love in the world. We experience people betraying us, and we experience you know people being mean or hurting us, or we think that love is hurting us. And sometimes we build up walls around our heart, or ice in our hearts, to try to keep us from healing that or feeling that grief that we have. But if you're on this journey, you have to face those deep, painful places within yourself, no matter how, um, challenging it is to go there. Going into your heart and healing that grief, allows you to return to joy. That's something that Shaleia says, is that grief is your joy returning to you. And that is true. But you have to be willing to go through it in order to have and experience your joy on the other side, because it's that grief that's blocking you from experiencing your joy. And you don't have to force your heart open. You don't have to dive into it all at once. You may need support. You may need a coach, or a friend to help hold space for you while you're moving through this deep dark grief. We're not meant to do this journey alone. You may have to do it in layers. You may have to go through it in steps. But as you release the grief more and more, you're able to return to joy. You're able to return to your natural loving state that is vulnerable, that is loving, and that is actually your strength, because vulnerability in love is a great strength. It's not It can seem like you're going to be harmed, or you're going to be heartbroken, or you're going to be hurt again, and love doesn't do that. That's ego. That's the absence of love that brings about that pain and that hurt. When you have real love and you're able to experience real love, first from God and yourself, and then from your twin flame, you know, vulnerability in love is what, takes you deeper, and what takes you deeper into that intimacy that you're really wanting with yourself, God, and your twin flame. So don't be afraid to face and feel through this grief. It won't hurt you, it won't swallow you up. You just have to feel it and release it. And the bottom of the deck is surrender. Sometimes learning to surrender can feel like as if you're dying. The ego learns what's hardest, to stop trying to control the whole universe. Yeah, I mean, I saw another Jeff and Shaleia quote recently that was essentially that you can't control your healing, you can't control life. All you can do is really like feel the feelings and choose to surrender, really, and just love yourself during this process. And it you don't control your healing. You don't control how fast you move through something. You don't control um, the things that go on around you. Like if it comes up, that means it can be healed. But all you're responsible for doing is feeling the feelings that are coming up and loving yourself through that process. God is the one that does the actual healing, but you have to be there for yourself. Otherwise, it's all just surrender and you allow God to move and flow through your life. You also don't control your twin flame. You don't control how you come together. You don't control your life purpose or how that's unfolding for you. You surrender and you realize that you are dependent on God. And that's not a bad thing. That is literally how you were created. You were a vessel for God. You are an extension of God. And so you and your entire existence are completely dependent on God. And I know for my own experience, that was very triggering for a while. That why do I have to be dependent on God and wanting to do all this stuff for myself? But I recognize that that's ego. Ego wants to try to control everything. Ego wants to try to push things forward. But God is very peaceful and surrendered, and everything gets done. And so when you surrender to that, you allow God to move much more quickly through your life than if you're struggling and trying to take the reins yourself. So surrender where you're at on the journey, surrender the things that you have to move through right now, and allow God to show you the way. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. If you'd like support on your twin flame journey, whether that be one-on-one coaching or a personalized card reading to help you move through your blocks to union, you can find my services at SacredTwinFlameUnion.com, and I will see you all in the next video.